Hello, my name is Emma Foley, and this is my science communication project for evolution. Today, I'll be talking about the evolutionary concept of natural selection told through Bimini Lemon Sharks. This is for my fellow marine biology majors and marine biology enthusiasts that are looking to learn more about natural selection and evolution. We will be talking about evolution using the paper from 2007, When Bigger is Not Better, Selection Against Large Size, High Condition, and Fast Growth Rate in Juvenile Lemon Sharks. So as a little refresher, let's talk about what evolution really is. I got this definition from my evolution class taught by Jessica Bolker, and I found it to be the most comprehensive one. Evolution is change throughout time in populations of living organisms. It is irreversible transformation in the genetic compositions of populations. The evolutionary concept that we are talking about today is natural selection. When you think about natural selection, you might jump to the simple story that is given to you in high school about mice on different colored rocks. The mice that better blend in with their background will be the ones to survive and live on and reproduce, while the ones that do not are eaten by the predator. But natural selection is much more than just that. There are 3 different requirements needed for natural selection to take place. First one being phenotypic variation, also differential survival and reproduction based on that phenotypic variation, and a heritable basis that can be passed on. The variation is dependent on random mutations. Also, we have to remember that evolution is not a fast process. It takes place over a long period of time, millions of years. There needs to be accumulation and refinement of what works with the environment. This article demonstrates a study on how selection acts on large-sized and fast growth for large marine mammals like the lemon shark. Let's talk a little bit about the background on lemon sharks. They can live up to 30 years. They live in tropical and subtropical zones in the Pacific Ocean. They range along sandy bottoms in inshore habitats like mangroves and reefs. Above is a mangrove. They are called lemon sharks because they show a yellowish hue which disguises them against the sandy floor from above. Also, their larger size minimizes predator risks, but there has been seen that some other lemon sharks do eat babies and juveniles. There are many studies out there about life history traits and natural selection that focus on terrestrial organisms. But what about us who love to study our big marine vertebrates? This is one of the only tests of natural selection on large marine organisms. This is because tests are hard to replicate because individuals have to be watched over a long period of time. The scientists fixed this issue by testing on localized and isolated population of juvenile lemon sharks. The lemon shark population at Bimini, Bahamas has been intensely studied since 1995. That is when yearly tagging and recapture programs were first implemented. Now, 99% of newborns are tagged each year, which is a great sample size. Though there is not enough time for evolution to take place, because as we discussed previously, it has to be over millions of years. But this study can demonstrate the evolutionary concept of natural selection. The goal of this study is to estimate the strength and direction of natural selection acting on life history and morphology in large marine vertebrates. Does the life history hypothesis of bigger is better work under different conditions? The scientists think that this could be the case because selection acts differently in the ocean than it does to terrestrial organisms. These are the predictions to why they think that. The ocean is three-dimensional, as well as often unpredictable distribution of resources. Also, there is high gene flow in the ocean, which may increase maladaptation and therefore maintain a strong local selection. Let's quickly talk about the benefits to a larger body size, because there are a lot. There's less likely to be prey, bigger range of diet, able to win more fights when competing against others, able to better resist extreme conditions, matures earlier, produces more young. But the scientists have failed to find cases where large body size is favored in large marine vertebrates. So, what will happen in the case of the Bimini Lemon Sharks? Now, let's get into the actual study. 705 juvenile lemon sharks in 6 cohorts were studied and watched over 5 years, from 1995 to 2000. They used the mark recapture method when studying these sharks. They believe that the results will not follow the bigger is better hypothesis because these cohorts are not subjected to fishing, which is their main source of predation. Individuals were measured once a year, determining their fitness level if they were captured or not. Meaning, if they were captured and tested, it means they survived to the next year. Their fitness is up. If they were not, they were assumed to have died. Their fitness is 0. All cohorts were analyzed by age class, so each age were in a different group. The factors measured that natural selection are assumed to be acting on are body length, body mass, relative condition of the juvenile lemon shark, and their growth rate. As stated before, the 5-year time span is not ideal for measuring natural selection, or evolution in general, but these are the first estimates from large marine vertebrates. So let's look at some data. It's kind of hard to tell because there's not really any linear consistency of these traits, but the significant ones like condition factor, growth, and body mass were negative, suggesting that selection may be stabilizing. It was determined that selection favors small size, favors smaller in weight sharks, and favors slower sharks to faster sharks. The estimate of the outcome of evolution is that sharks at Bimini will eventually become smaller and grow slower. This shows that it cannot be assumed that life history traits of bigger, fatter, faster is better. Sometimes it may be the exact opposite. But we cannot assume this for every large marine vertebrate, because it depends on many factors such as immigration, resource availability, prediction pressure, and much more. It was made clear that it's possible that large sharks could have emigrated from the study site, and Bimini has low resource availability, which could be the reason the lemon sharks are smaller. This is not the case for all of the ocean. Also, these were tested on juvenile sharks. There is a potential for the data to change as they grow. So what does this tell us about natural selection? The phenotypic variation of size, growth rate, etc. It affects the differential survival and reproduction of these sharks. They have to be able to survive in order to pass these traits on to their young. This is a result of their more closed-off nursery-type environment. This shows there is a lot of opportunity for research and evolution in the marine biology fields. We have lots of gaps to fill in. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would love to answer them. And all the citation of articles I used are in the caption.